All right. Hello. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is Kemna with OptiCall. Today's webinar is about how to shop a medical practice. Bear with me for just a second here. Just trying to get my slides to move forward. Here we go. All right. Well, today's speakers are myself. I'm Kemna. I'm the VP of Sales at OptiCall. We also have our President, CEO, Founder, Bill Mercier, on with us. He's actually going to walk us through a demo of OptiCall system after we listen to a few phone calls today. This is a picture from the Caribbean Eye, actually on the day of the Super Bowl. We don't always wear jerseys at work, but we thought this would be a fun one. So I added this slide in. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the book called Start With Why by Simon Sinek, but the book's all about the companies that do what they do for a reason, why they do what they do, seem to be the most successful. So I tried to touch on that a little bit about OptiCall. If you guys aren't familiar with OptiCall, we've been in business since 2002. And the main reason we're in business is, surprisingly, most medical practices miss opportunities on that initial phone experience. When people call in, especially these elective medical phone calls, when people are paying several thousands of dollars out of pocket. So the point is just that initial phone call to a practice is extremely important. Somebody has high expectations, and if you don't meet their expectations, they're most likely to call the next practice in line. And most practices do not have systems in place to be able to deliver the experience consistently. So we've kind of built our business all around this idea. We have a number of different services. Our flagship service is called First Contact, where we actually take inbound phone leads, usually elective medical phone leads that are worth about $1,000 or more. And we specialize in making sure that those callers have an exceptional experience, and we actually book them where we have different hours of coverage. We can help you out during business hours. We've got extended hours of coverage where we're open till 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. And we have coverage on Eastern hours from noon to 6 on Saturday and Sunday. So we also have evolved where we offer some overflow and extended hours of coverage programs as well. So today's webinar is really about mystery shopping your practice. This is something that we do often with OptiCall. We want to be able to provide some kind of measurement. In order to manage, it's important to be able to measure to see how your practice is doing. Most practices are surprised when they hear the results. We got the saying here that we use at OptiCall quite a bit about, in order to buy what John Smith buys, you have to see the world through John Smith's eyes. So going through this mystery shop is a good opportunity for you to put yourself in your prospective patient's shoes, to hear what it sounds like when they call the practice, and just go through that experience where the reality is most practices are super busy. Doctors are seeing patients, dealing with personnel issues, new technology, their own personal lives, and the phone calls are usually out of sight, out of mind. So everybody thinks that they're going well, but usually when we do one of these assessments, we're able to identify some opportunities for improvement. And you can see here that someone's perception is their reality, and usually that first perception starts around that initial phone call. I got just a couple polls I wanted to launch before we dig too deep, if you guys don't mind participating here. The first one is, let's see, Bill, can you see the poll up on your screen right now? No, you got me on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Yes, I can see your polls up there.
Okay. So I think I need to submit it here. Okay, I'm just going to leave this up for a little bit here if you guys don't mind participating. So the options are, what is your practice's conversion from that initial call to consultation? So it's pretty wide ranges, 0 to 25%, 26 to 50%, 50 to 75%. 76% or higher, or not sure. So we've got the majority of the people have voted. Got some pretty even numbers here. We'll go ahead and close this out. Share the results. Bill, can you see that on your end?
Yeah, I sure
10%. 10% fell into the 0 to 25%, 0 on the 26 to 50%, another 10% on the 50 to 75, and another 10%, 76 to higher. So sounds like some pretty broad ranges. And then most people aren't sure, which kind of leads us to the next poll, which is kind of a little bit of a setup. We asked that question because most practices don't usually do assessments on their own teams. So the question is, when's the last time you did a mystery shop on your own practice? Was it within a month, within 6 months, a year? It's been over a year, I'm not sure. And the reason we ask that is we'll go through our exercise. We'll place these mystery shops and play them back for the practices, and we'll go through our system, and then we have a revenue calculator. And one of the first questions that comes up is, how well is your practice converting? And most practices will tell us that they're in the 70% range or higher, but typically most of the mystery shop calls that we place result in lost leads. So that's kind of how we make our point. Say, what about those 5 calls that we just placed that all resulted in lost leads? I'm going to go ahead and close this poll out and watch the results. So it looks like a fair amount of you have done assessments, spread out. Within 1 month is 17%, within 6 months, 17%, 1 year, 8%, over a year, 17%, and then 42% not sure. We appreciate you guys sharing that information with us. Go back to the presentation here. So the goal of a mystery shop isn't to do what we call play stump the counselor. We just want to get a barometer on how well your leads are converting. So we ask basic questions. Usually those are about price. That's typically what we hear at OptiCall. Most people are asking about price because they don't know what else to ask about. And we're just kind of looking to see, do they just answer questions, or do they engage the caller? That's typically what we'll find is we make a call. We might ask, what's the price for LASIK? Somebody on the other end says, oh, it's like $1,500 to $2,500 per eye, and they might mention a consultation, and they typically let us off the phone after that if we let them know that we're still doing some research, with no effort to invite that caller in or even capture the lead. So we've got a few calls queued up that we're going to play here on the presentation, but we've identified kind of the 3 most common outcomes that we hear on these phone assessments that we do. Number 1 is voicemail or no answer, which paints a pretty clear picture. I think we have some stats that show less than 27% of your callers will actually leave a voicemail. And if you do leave the voicemail in, you got to kind of play phone tag with these people, and you miss them in what Google calls that micro moment, where they're emotionally compelled to pick up the phone. The other scenario is people are there to answer, but they just answer questions. They don't feel like it's their job to engage the caller, take them to that next step. And then occasionally we hear what the practice considers their all-star, usually a coordinator with a lot of experience that's able to answer questions, talk about the next step. But even in those cases, they typically let the caller off without any attempt to capture the lead. Sometimes they mention the consultation, but typically they don't invite them in for that appointment and ask it, form that as a question where the caller has to make a decision. And there's typically no information offered, so those result in lost leads. But I'm going to go ahead and play our first call here. So I'm playing this from my Jambox speaker, if you guys can hear it.
Thank you for calling. Could you please hold? Oh, sure. Thank you. Thank you for holding. How can I help you? Hi, how much is LASIK? You're asking for general information? Yeah, in regards to our LASIK? Right. Okay, well, we do have a promotion going on right now. And that would be $400 savings, but that ends August 31st. And if you're just interested in knowing the pricing, We do have free consultations, and it would be, well, let me find a little paper here, approximately for both, oh my goodness, what month you can't find it. Okay, and that would be on a range of anywhere from $21.50 to $23.50 an eye. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Bye.
Bill, if you're on with us, I'd love to get your feedback on that call.
Well, what I hear on that call is somebody has been trained to a certain extent, but they haven't really been trained on how to take control of the phone call. A lot of times people come out with asking the price question right off the bat. When they do that, it's the job on the practice side to understand that the reason why they're asking about price is they have no other way to differentiate Dr. A from Dr. B. So that's why they're asking price. And that's an opportunity to take that question and turn it into more of a controlled conversation rather than just answering the question. The other thing that I hear in that is this person, as they have been trained, has been told you need to try to book them for a consultation. So we want to tell them about that consultation right off the bat. And the problem with just telling them about the consultation is you haven't given them any reason to want to book it. So in building some rapport at the beginning of the phone call and then focusing on why they need that consultation would be better for the practice to concentrate on.
I agree with all that. And it almost felt like at the end of the call, she was relieved to get off the call when the person just said thank you, that they were going to move on, where we coach our counselors to always offer information to be able to maximize those opportunities. But that's all definitely good feedback. It didn't feel like she was necessarily prepared for that call as well, that she was kind of handling it on a case-by-case basis, the way that call flowed. I'm going to go ahead and play this next call here.
One moment. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry for your hold. This is Kay. How can I help you? Hi. I have a friend who had weight loss surgery. I'm a little nervous myself. Is there someone I can talk to about that can make me feel more comfortable, or answer any questions? Have you been to one of our seminars? No. Okay, that's the first step for all of our patients. It is a requirement to start the program here, and it will definitely help answer some questions. Oh, okay. We have a video on our website that you can go to and watch it. Oh, all right. Our website is all filled out. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. All right, goodbye.
And I forgot to mention, we scrub these calls to keep them HIPAA compliant, so we've taken out last names and the practice name. But Bill, how'd you feel about that phone call?
Well, I think that person was looking to do anything they possibly could to deflect that person to something else other than what they could potentially help them with. There was no call to action. They basically mentioned that, we require everybody to come to a seminar. There was no really kind of probing for what their needs were or anything. So it seemed to me like he wanted to get off the phone as quickly as he could. If the person didn't ask, well, can you book me for a seminar, then they're going to be a lost lead. On top of that, they didn't get a name. There's no way to even track a lead like that. And, I know we've got a lot of different specialties on the phone between ophthalmology and dental and hearing and aesthetics and all these different things. We're putting a lot of money out there to make that phone ring. It's important to know what's making it ring and categorize your leads to know how many are booking, how many are not booking. If you don't know that information, you might be advertising in the wrong market to the wrong people and can really spend and waste a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and their voice tone wasn't very inviting either. I imagine some of those weight loss procedures can run around $10,000. Is that about right, Bill?
Absolutely, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. For sure. And yeah, when you put yourself in the patient's shoes, what are your expectations? Like, that lady didn't really sound very inviting or even that friendly necessarily. She did the minimum, is what it felt like. And
personally, if that was the response that I got, I would probably hang up the phone and call somebody else.
Exactly. And we actually cropped out the hold time. I believe that person was actually on hold for 6 minutes before they spoke with somebody. So you can imagine, most people wouldn't stay on the line that long. So that would have been a missed call altogether that would have never been tracked by the practice. And when we play the mystery shops back for our practices, they actually get to hear that whole time, and we've got it tracked by the minutes. So we got one more call queued up here. This is more along the lines of an experienced counselor. I think this one actually even asks them for the appointment, which is a step up from what we typically hear. Go ahead and play this call too.
Good afternoon, Dr. Sue speaking. How may I help you?
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Sue at Dr. Office?
Thank you, Sue. Yes, I have an astigmatism, and I'm just curious if Lisa could help correct that for me.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people can get it now.
Oh,
You know, years ago with an astigmatism you couldn't, but yes, you can. There's, you know, it depends. There's other factors too, but yeah, you could definitely, you still might be a candidate.
okay, perfect. And about how much does the LASIK cost, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. What we do is we have you come in for an initial consultation with Dr. At that time, he would do mapping tests of your eyes. Now, those tests determine whether you are a candidate for surgery and what type of surgery you would have to have. It is a complimentary exam. If you are a candidate and you wanted to proceed on, then you would have to come in for a fully dilated exam, and that's where he would take the measurements and also check the health of the eye, the back of the eye, things like that. And there's a $175 charge for that, and that also includes your like startup drops and some vitamins that you would need to start prior to surgery.
Okay, terrific.
And then at that point, we would schedule surgery. Yeah, can I put you on hold 1 second? We're a little short-handed here.
Certainly.
Sorry about that. Okay, but after you had your dilated exam, then we would schedule surgery. And the cost of the surgery is $75 per eye for 24 months, 0% financing.
And if you're not financing?
I'm sorry. I didn't sound like anyone was there. I'm sorry. What did you say?
And if you're not going to be financing?
It is $1,650 per eye, and that includes all your follow-ups for 1 year. It is a set price. We don't change our price based on a high astigmatism or high prescription, anything like that. That's where, especially with an astigmatism, a lot of places will bring you in at one price, and once they see you have a astigmatism, then price goes way up from there.
Oh,
But we don't do that. Our price is just one flat price.
That's that flat fee. I don't have to expect a change or anything like that.
No. No.
Okay.
It's
And then there is
$1,650 per eye, or it's the $75 per month per eye for 24 months, and that's 0% financing.
And then just
$100 to $1,800 an eye.
And then 175 for the visit, correct?
175, and that's where he takes, like I said, all of the measurements and everything, and you know, he said it is the doctor that, you know, that does the surgery, that takes the measurements and all that. He does not have a different doctor taking his measurements and things like that.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Sue, for all of your
You're
help.
welcome. Would you like to schedule a consultation? There's no charge for it.
Oh, so there's no charge for, what's the $175 for the full exam? There's no charge for the exam?
The initial consultation is complimentary. There's no charge for it. That one, that's the one where he would tell you if you're a candidate for surgery and what type of surgery you would have to have.
Oh, terrific. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and look over this information and toss it over, Sue, and I'll certainly give you guys a call back.
Okay. Again, my name is Sue, and look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bill, I'm going to put you on the hot seat one more time. How do you feel about this call?
All right, so here's one of the things that I heard on that, and you can Monday morning quarterback just about any phone call, including my own. But one of the things that stood out to me was that when she asked what the cost was although the woman Sue did eventually give the cost out, it was after she gave out a ton of information. In fact, she went right into the appointment that the doctor likes to see for a consultation and went right into that phase. And to me, as a consumer, if somebody did that, I would feel like they were ignoring my question, because it took her 2 minutes or so to finally get down to the point where she was going to talk about cost. And when she talked about cost, she went right into the payment options, assuming that everybody wants payment options. So, a couple of little things there that I think really kind of stood out. She was going to explain that you need to come in to see the doctor so that we can determine what technology is going to be best for you, and based on whatever their price range is based on. She should have said something like, yeah, I can definitely give you an idea of what the cost is. First, before we can give costs, we'd like to see you for a consultation. So you're telling her why you're explaining that next step. I didn't hear that in this at all. And then she had to re-explain the step again. So what she should have focused in on, instead of talking about that $175 appointment, was the free consult, and try to get somebody in on the free consult, because my bet is they have open appointments for that very, very soon and get her into the system. Right. But again, I didn't hear anything about what her name, any kind of information that was captured by the caller that could be put into any type of tracking system.
Right. Seems like it wasn't a bad experience. She definitely seemed knowledgeable. You might even move forward with an experience like that you get a sense of confidence that she knows what she's talking about. But they that call lacked a little bit of a flow that we would follow at OptiCall, where you're right, she can get a name or a number, be able to capture that lead or even build some rapport over the call. And fortunately, she did ask for the appointment. We don't really hear that much on the mystery shops that we place. A lot of times a seasoned counselor might mention the consultation, but doesn't actually ask for the appointment. So I'll give her some kudos there. But it still resulted in a lost lead because there's no follow-up action to say, if somebody's not ready to schedule, can I send you out some information? And that's an area that most practices miss, for sure.
I agree. Here's the challenge that I see with a lot of practices on mystery shop calls and real calls is that what happens is that invitation to come in feels like a last-ditch effort. The person that's calling in has obtained all the information that they're looking for, and because there was no rapport built throughout the call, they've got their answers and they're ready to get off the phone. So whoever at the practice side at that point recognizes that they're abandoning the call, so they need to offer a visit. And it ends up ending up the way that this one did. So in building rapport, it's a little bit different. There's an invitation to that's put in place that it feels different than what it just did on that phone call.
So at this point, we were going to turn the screen over to Bill and actually walk through a phone call at OptiCall. Before we do that, I'm going to pass the screen over to Bill, but we've got a call queued up, which is actually one of OptiCall's counselors, so you can hear what one of our calls sounds like. I'm hoping that I can let him share his screen, but still play the call on my end, or we might have to bring it back. And I think it might be worth mentioning along the lines of what Bill said, is we have a couple of goals at OptiCall. Our number one goal is to be able to book that consultation and get that person to the next step. But the number two goal is to be able to get that person's buy-in to receive the information that we offer to send out. And it's kind of twofold. Hopefully the practice has good collateral material that'll help you guys stand out, but it also gives you an opportunity to cultivate those relationships and follow up with other emails or phone calls.
And before we get into the demo, Dylan, I'd like to say the reason why we even did this webinar in the first place, to try to teach practice on how to mystery shop their own practice or other practices, is because it's important to measure things. One of the biggest challenges that we see at any given practice is the concept of consistency. So if we're mystery shopping a practice, or we're listening in on real phone calls for practices, which is one of the things that we do as well, what we find is that you can get 3 different people that are answering for these phone calls that are coming in, and everybody does something different. I've actually even heard different prices given out at the same practice by different people. And so that concept of consistency is absolutely critical. And that's one of the things that you want to measure when you're doing any mystery shopping of your own practice or somebody else's. The other thing is keep the questions simple. I remember, in our early days when we were just involved in ophthalmology, having a mystery shop come through, and the doctor had asked what hertz rate the interlace was running at. Who the heck would know that? And it's you can always tell the way by the line of questioning that it's a mystery shop. You don't want it to sound like that. You want to keep it very simple. One of the easiest things to do is just say, hey, I'm doing some research, for my wife or my husband or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be, and I'm just trying to find out how much it costs. I'm thinking about getting it for a gift for them. Keep it real and simple like that. And in just asking one question, not going down the path of does it hurt, how long does it take, and all these fear questions, different things like that, playing stump the person on the other side. Just keep it simple and see where it goes from there. Do they keep you on the phone? Do they engage with you? Do they learn about you, learn about your needs, invite you in? What is the process like? Are they friendly on the phone? Do they allow you to get off the phone in a minute and a half after giving the price out to you? So there are a lot of different things you can measure, but it all starts with keeping it simple, not playing stump the person on the other end of the phone.
Yeah, that's a good point. My first job as a server in a restaurant, we always knew when a mystery shopper came in because they would ask what color the key lime pie was. And no consumer would naturally ask that question. So that's kind of the same on these mystery shops. If you start asking what college the doctor went to and how many years of experience, most callers don't typically ask that. But the nice thing with OptiCall is we actually do have scripts in place that there's a good chance we'll be able to answer those questions. So we can come back to the phone call. Do you want to go ahead and jump through this demo?
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to show this demo is because in OptiCall, we came to the conclusion that we weren't doing things all the same way. When we were able to start recording our phone calls and listen to our phone calls, we realized that everybody did a decent job, and they were trying to focus in on trying to get that patient booked in. But what they were doing is doing it their own way completely. And if you allow all of your staff just to take a phone call the way they want to take it, you're going to have different levels of effectiveness. And so what we did is we created a system so that our team can follow a path of how a phone call flow. So regardless of whether one person gets it or another person gets it, it's a roadmap. And it basically has questions in there and leads them through a process to control the phone call and get information out and have information at their fingertips. But from a practice standpoint, a tool like this actually would work really well at getting people up to speed much faster at taking phone calls and having the information that they need as well. So Dylan, if you want to role play with me here and you want to act like a patient, I'll pick up a phone call.
All right.
You gonna ring the phone?
Your phone here. It sounds a little better. So we'll just start with ring, 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 ring.
And I'll try not to put you on hold, and just bear with me here. I'm waiting for the new call to pop up. And I'm wondering if our bandwidth here, because we're on this meeting, is chewing up my bandwidth here. So let me do this. I'm just going to, there we go. Okay, so now we got it. And I'm going to pick up and say, hey, thank you for calling Jones Laser Center. This is Bill speaking. How may I help you?
Hi, Bill. I was just calling to see how much you guys charge for LASIK.
I'm sorry, for what? I couldn't hear you, Dylan.
For LASIK?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can definitely help you with that. Now, are you a patient of ours already? Have you ever contacted us?
No, this is my first time calling.
Okay, great. And if you don't mind, may I ask your first name?
It's Dylan.
Dylan, excellent. Well, thank you for giving us a call today. And Dylan, is there a good number that I can reach you at, just in case we get disconnected? I can give you a call right back.
It's 303-875-8338.
Excellent. And so you mentioned that you haven't called us before. How did you hear about us today, if I may ask?
I think I heard a friend of mine actually.
Excellent. Do you mind sharing your friend's name? And we love it when people refer other patients in. It's fantastic, and it's also a testament that our doctor is great at what he does. So
it's Howard.
Excellent. All right. And Dylan, let me ask you a couple of questions, and I can give you some information on what you're looking for too. So, have you ever been evaluated before to find out whether you might be a good candidate for LASIK?
I've been in for just like a brief consult with another practice once.
Gotcha. And so, do you wear? Are you having problems with your reading, your distance, or both?
Mostly distance and night driving. I have a minor astigmatism.
Gotcha. And so, do you wear glasses when you drive then?
Not currently. I considered getting some night driving glasses, or I've talked to some people as LASIK as a possible option, because I currently haven't worn glasses or contacts up until this point.
Sure. Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit about our office in the first step. The first step is to come in for a consultation. Now, we could do one of two things. We prefer to bring people in for our complimentary consult, and it takes about 30 minutes or so. We perform some of the testing to see if this is something that you can have done, that you qualify for. You'll have a chance to meet with our doctor and our refractive coordinator, Michael, and have all of your questions answered. Now, if this is something that you think you really want to have done and have it done sooner rather than later, we can actually bypass that free consult. We do offer a full evaluation. There is a cost associated with that of $150, but that does go towards the cost of the procedure. That visit takes about an hour or so. We do a little bit more testing really to determine which procedure you're going to have, which technology is going to work best for you. Now, at the conclusion of that, your eyes might be light sensitive as well. But you also have a chance to meet with the doctor and our refractive coordinator and answer all the questions that you would have. And does that sound like something you want to do, either one of those visits?
Possibly. What about can you give me a price or price range?
Yeah, give you an idea of what the cost is. You just bear with me here. I'm waiting because of our bandwidth with this meeting. It's taking a little bit longer for the information to pop up here. So the price is about $2,500 per eye based on the technology actually that is best suited for you. And what that includes is obviously the procedure itself, but it also includes a year's worth of your post-operative care. And that post-operative care is with the doctor himself. We also do offer payment options if that's something you are interested in. So you don't have to pay that whole $2,500 per eye up front. You can actually break it into payments. And we have a couple of different companies that are really good for that. But that's about the cost. So if you'd like, I can take a look at our schedule, see what we have for available appointments.
That works.
Okay. And so I think, Dylan, at this point, I don't know if we have to go all the way to the final year. I think what our goal is to show the people that are on the phone today that having some sort of a roadmap, this is our roadmap that we built for our team. It goes all the way through closing, and we put the information into these fields here and then go to a calendar and actually book them. And it fires out an email so that they get confirmation, all that good stuff. It was really designed so that we provided consistency with our phone team and the staff that we have.
Yeah, I think that was great. I appreciate it, Bill. I'm going to bring the screen back to myself here.
Sound like your Bluetooth went down.
Yeah. Sometimes when I have the speaker on, it gives me some resistance. Can you see my screen again, Bill?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay. So we do have one of our calls queued up if they want to hear a live call. And this is a bit of a longer call, so I'll probably skip ahead, but just so they can hear it in action, I'm going to play through some of this here.
Thank you for calling. This is Angela. How may I help you?
Sorry, I didn't have my speaker.
Set up a schedule to see if it's possible if I can get Lisa.
Oh, sure. I'd be happy to help you out with that. Could I have your name, please?
It's James.
Thank you very much, James. And just in case we get disconnected, what number can I reach you right back on? Thank you very much, Rose.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, is this the first time you've contacted our office?
Yeah.
Wonderful. How did you hear about us?
Actually, through a friend and TV commercials.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wonderful. And would you mind sharing your friend's name, and I'll count him as your referral?
Yes, Rod.
Rod, and that's R-O-D as in David?
Yep.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that, James. We always like to know who's talking about it. So.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, what sort of difficulty are you having with your vision that you're looking into LASIK? Do you have trouble seeing far away or up close?
Far away.
Far away? Okay. And are you wearing glasses or contact lenses to correct for that now?
Both.
Both? Okay. And what type of contacts are you using? Are those the hard or the soft lenses?
They're soft.
Soft? Okay. Do you take those out every night, or are those the extended where you can sleep in?
Oh, I take them out every day.
Oh, okay. Good, good. Thanks very much for that.
Oh.
Okay. Well, the first step, of course, is come on into our office for a consultation. That's free of charge. We're going to be performing a full dilated exam to see if you are a good candidate. You can expect to be with us for about an hour to an hour and a half. Now, your eyes will be very light sensitive, so I do recommend bringing your sunglasses with you.
All right.
Now, while you're here, you have a chance to meet with one of our refractive coordinators, a LASIK technician, as well as one of our surgeons. Between them, they'll be able to answer all of your questions.
Okay.
Okay. Now, before you come in, I do have a little bit of homework for you. To help us get the best results, we would like for you to be out of your contact lenses for the day before the exam as well as the day of the exam. Will you be able to do that and just wear your glasses?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much. Exactly. Thank you so much. And how soon are you thinking about having the procedure itself done if you are a good candidate?
I guess as soon as possible.
Okay. Okay, great.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump in at the end because at this point there's a lot of back and forth setting up the actual consultation. I'll just go to the wrap up of this call here.
After the consultation or evaluation, I guess, how long after that would it be till I actually have the surgery?
Okay, so you actually have the surgery. It really depends on the surgery schedule and your availability. With Dr. He does his surgeries on Thursdays, every now and then on Wednesdays. So we'll look at the schedule while you're here, but typically we can get you in just a few weeks. So it usually isn't too long away. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, you did awesome. Yeah, I actually own a restaurant, and you gave some of the best service I've ever received, so I appreciate everything.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that, James. I appreciate the compliment. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Well, then, we're going to be seeing you then on your birthday, 1 o'clock, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Yep, you too. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So if you guys would like to get a copy of that call, you'll see when we close out here. Be happy.
Dylan, we can't hear you too well. Can you come a little closer to the phone?
Probably did a better job than Bill, so we understand that not all calls are that good, but you can hopefully you saw the consistency from the flow that Bill followed, and schedule it down the phone before you hit all those key steps on every call. What we call logical progression. I guess I can back up just that period, but introduction, exploration, education, and closing. So every one of our calls, regardless of which practice it is, follow the same flow. Maximize this opportunity to build rapport and hopefully book a consultation or at least keep providing from the caller that they like the information. Get them to the next step. So as far as the offer, the takeaway from this presentation, if you guys are interested in getting a free assessment of your stat, we offer this free recorded phone assessment. We usually spread the calls out over 2 to 4 weeks, and it's just a great exercise to be able to see what's going on your practice, there's some opportunities for improvement. Usually these are on. If we hear a lot of voicemails, that might be a good picture that OptiCall is overflowing extended hours of coverage that you get fit for your practice. Sometimes we find your practices that have the potential and just need to keep tweaks to just kind of going through the exercise and seeing the back end of our system. Should be worthwhile. We've handled over 2 million inbound medical phone from the process to be able to maximize these opportunities. So you'd like to take advantage, there's an opportunity and survey that goes out. We also have the link here on the closing page. And basically, that's it. You can email us at info@opticall.com. We're going to be at the ASCRS, that's the American Society of Cataract and Refractive Surgery, here the second week of April. Love to see you guys in person there. We're also going to be at the aesthetic meeting in New York City. That's the last weekend of April. But it'd be nice if you guys are interested in getting one of these phone assessments. If you're going to be at the event, we can put a rush on it. Just some results we can reveal in person. Bill, is there anything you'd like to add before we close out?
No, I'm not sure how well you can hear me. Your audio there was a little bit garbled, but no. If you didn't catch that,
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't back on my headphones. That must have been coming through my speaker. Could you hear me at all over those past 2 slides, Bill?
Some was pretty jumbled up there, so if you wouldn't mind, for the sake of anybody who is interested, just going over that again, please.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'll do it quickly. I was just saying logical progressions, a proper introduction, exploration, education, and closing. We do the same process for all of our clients. We're offering this free phone assessment, 5 recorded calls over 2 to 4 weeks. I mentioned we're going to be at the upcoming meetings, the ASCRS for cataract and refractive surgeons, the second week of April, and the aesthetic meeting in New York City. It's also called the ASAPS. If you guys are interested in getting a free phone assessment, we could reveal them in person at the show. You can click on the link from our website, or you'll get an opportunity when this presentation ends to elect the free phone assessment on the survey. Please let us know if there's any way we can help you guys out. And we can also stick around here for a few minutes if any of you guys have any questions for us. I didn't mention that at the beginning of the presentation. You know, Mark's giving me a hard time about the boom box. It's a jam box, Mark. Some people are asking, do we actually schedule the appointments, Bill? Would you mind answering that question?
Yeah, we actually do schedule the appointments for our practices. There are different ways to do it. This year we started working with a partner that has an integration in with a good number of practice management systems. Outside of that, we do host a calendar within the system that I showed you, and similar to like a ZocDoc or something like that, practices can give us availability and we can alert them when we book something so that they can put that into their own practice management system. So there are 2 ways we can do that, but we prefer to book the patient while we're on the phone rather than take a message for a practice and have somebody else follow up. It just gives better conversions with that.
And one additional question, how do calls route to OptiCall from a practice? You mind taking that, Bill?
Sure, there are a number of different ways for that too. Some of the practices that we have will answer the phone call live, and we'll work with their phone vendor on a way to transfer that phone call over to us as if we're the patient coordinator sitting in a different desk, or we're actually outside of the facility. Other practices might have some sort of a message system, an auto attendant. I'm not a big fan of big auto attendants. It's one thing to have maybe 2 or 3 options. But when you say, please listen carefully, these menu options have recently changed, and for Spanish, press 2. People get lost and usually press 0. So, crafting that auto attendant message is very important, and they'll push a prompt that comes out to us. And a third way is through advertising numbers. Virtual numbers can be pointed anywhere. So we have some practice that might have an ad, and they point that ad directly to us.
That's a good point. And it's also important if you are working with OptiCall, if you have the extended hours of coverage, to get those hours of coverage listed on your website. Chances are you'll see more calls coming in outside of business hours if you let your prospective patients know that you're available. And typically that two-step prompt that Phil's mentioning, it's 2 or 3 steps, but it might be something to the effect of, thank you for calling Jones Laser Center. If you're a first-time caller interested in one of our procedures or scheduling a consultation, please press 2. If you're an existing patient or all other calls, please press 1. So we try to do a little bit of a call out for those new patients. Because whether you're working with OptiCall or not, I think it's important to have your A-team on those calls. You don't want just anybody picking up potential leads. Where I see at the practice level, a lot of people will be on the phone their first week on the job, where at OptiCall, most of our counselors go through about a 6-week training before they're actually handling calls on their own. So you really don't want to compromise that new potential patient with just anybody in the practice that's available to answer the calls. So it's good to set up that process, whether you're working with OptiCall or not. The practices that work with us on our overflow program, they might have it go to their patient coordinator line, ring 3 times, and then those calls can roll over to OptiCall if your staff's not available. Sometimes that's a great stepping stone for us to get in the door with the practice and earn some credibility and kind of take it from there. Those are all the questions I see at this moment, but we appreciate everybody's time today. We try to keep it short and sweet. Hope you enjoyed the presentation. Let us know how we can be a resource for anything, and hope to see it from the upcoming shows. And thanks, Bill.
All right. Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Have a good day.